Yo guys, what's going on? My name is Daniel Plato and welcome to the very first episode of Bad Movie Roundup. So here's how this series is going to work. Essentially, I've collected a bunch of probably really bad movies. I say probably because I haven't seen any of them. And what I'm going to be doing is I am going to be running them down for you. We're gonna be going through the movie. We're gonna be making some commentary on it. We're gonna be making some bold predictions on each movie, and it's gonna be super fun because, oh man, movies like this are just so much fun to watch, and I honestly believe they provide so much more entertainment than like super high quality movies. And what do I mean by bad movie? The ruling that I'm gonna put on it is a movie that either had a really cheap budget and like it's just like a B movie, like no one really cares about it, or a movie that had a massive budget but just did really awful at the box office. So it was like a huge box office bomb, no one really cared about it or no one went to see it. Or just movies that I find in the $5 bin at Walmart. One of those three things. So who knows, some of these movies could turn out to actually be like super dope, and that would be a really cool surprise. But most of them are probably just going to be hilarious and fun. So without further ado, let's get into the first movie that we're doing, and that one is called Northmen. A Viking longship capsizes in a storm off the rocky coast of Scotland, and the handful of surviving raiders realize that they are trapped deep behind enemy lines. When they take the king's daughter as a hostage, the monarchy unleashes its most savage mercenaries to rescue the princess and slaughter the Norse warriors. Now, the hunters have become the hunted, and the battle for Valhalla will explode with fury, treacherous, and merciless ferocity. So I'm really curious about this movie. Honestly, for all I know, it could have a pretty big budget. I got it at Walmart for $5 and it kind of looks pretty cheesy and I've never really heard of it. So I'm just assuming it's going to be really bad. So I'm looking at the Wikipedia page right now and it doesn't say what the budget was, but the box office is only $12 million. And for pretty much any movie, that's pretty poor, especially because there's some decent actors in it. So the movie came out in 2014, so maybe these actors weren't that big then, but Tom Hopper was in it, and you'll probably recognize him. He's been in these big shows were like Black Sails, and then Netflix's Umbrella Academy was like his latest thing, and apparently he was in Game of Thrones at one point, and Merlin as well. And then we got some other guys, someone from True Blood, someone from Inglourious Basterds, someone from Game of Thrones, someone from Taken. There's a bunch of guys that you probably won't recognize the names of, but then when you see them, you'll be like, yeah, okay, I've seen you somewhere. And I think the coolest thing is that it stars death metal icon Johan Hegg. And I had no idea who Johan Hegg was, but he is the singer/screamer of the metal band Amon Amarth. And that name sounds really familiar to me. I looked up their stuff. I don't think I've actually ever heard their stuff, but I've definitely seen their name around, and they're definitely like a pretty big metal band. Also, if you look at the guy, he literally just looks like a Viking, so I can see why they wanted him in this movie. This movie is also rated R for violence throughout. I have never heard of that before. Violence throughout. I've seen violence, I've seen gore, I've seen extreme violence, lots of gore, stuff like that. Violence throughout. Guys, there might just be no pause to the violence. It might just keep on going. And I'm pretty excited for that. So let's get to some bold predictions. So guys, for this part of Bad Movie Roundup, we are going to be doing bold predictions. As I said, I have never seen this movie before, so I'm gonna make some bold predictions, and it's your chance to make some bold predictions too. You can make it down in the comments, just say bold prediction in front, and I flippin' swear, dude, if you cheat and watch my entire review or watch the movie first and then make a bold prediction, you're banned. I'm banning you from this. No, seriously though, that's just no fun. Just don't do that. So make some bold predictions. You gotta make them now. Pause right now. Make a flipping bold prediction about what's gonna happen. Who's gonna die? What's gonna happen? Is there gonna be dragons? I don't know. It doesn't show any dragons on it. That'd be pretty cool though. So my bold prediction for this movie, I'm counting. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's kind of 6 guy actors and 1 girl actor that they say on the back. I think out of the 6 guy actors, so I think the main guy, the Tom Hopper guy, I think he's gonna live. But my bold prediction is out of the other 5 guys, I think at least 4 of them are gonna die. I don't know which ones, but I think there's gonna be a lot of death. I don't even know if these are good guys or bad guys. I assume most of them are probably the good guys, but maybe the metal guy's the bad guy, because that'd be pretty cool. But I think a lot of them are gonna die. So as we go through the movie, we'll see if my bold prediction was correct. And I hope you've made one as well. So guys, that's it for the intro. It is time to watch this movie. I'll see you once it's done. All right. That was something. It was pretty good. I liked it. A lot happened. Let's get into it. First off, right off the bat, it was rated R for violence throughout. It was not that violent. I honestly do not know why it's rated R. I think they got screwed over. I think they were trying to go for like a PG-13, 14A rating, and then they got the R rating. And I bet the people who made the movie were like super sad about that. Because I don't think there was any swearing, absolutely no like nudity, sexual stuff at all. Like, it was violent, but really, I've seen a lot worse. I don't know, like I feel like it definitely should have been PG-13, 14A. That area. But let's get into it. The movie starts out with all these Vikings on a boat, and it's pretty cool. The boat, it's like this really, really bad storm, and the boat right near the beginning completely submerges, and then like rocket ships out of the water. I don't think boats work like that, but it was pretty cool. The Vikings then get washed up on shore where they are really confused about where they are, and they're just showing off their triceps here and there. We get introduced to 3 of the characters that I have on my bold prediction because they were on the back of the box. We have Tom, we have Ken, and we have Johan. There's a bunch of other Vikings with them too that'll be throughout the movie, especially one douchey guy that they kind of introduce as like the classic, like, oh, I'm with the good guys, but everyone's gonna hate me. So they have one of those guys in the crew. And they quickly realize that they need to climb up a giant cliff that's right by the shore that they washed up on. A pretty great moment happens on this cliff face. One of the Vikings slips, falls, and another Viking probably 10 feet down from him catches him with one hand while holding onto the cliff. That doesn't work. That's not even close to being able to work. The director of this movie doesn't know how climbing works. That's like a 250-pound dude falling. He falls like 10 feet. Just snag him up. I'm on a cliff face too. Yeah, no problem. But they get to the top of the hill where they pretty much immediately just see an army approaching them. And I say a small army because I counted at this spot. There's 35 plus people here that I can count. But later on, they specifically say that it is a band of 20 people.
20 of the king's best men.
How do you mess that up? Did you just throw in a bunch of guys and then later on you're like, no one will count, it'll be fine. Yeah, I think it was like 20 actors we had out there, I don't know. But they literally just jump immediately into a battle. And Tommy, the main guy, he's like the helmsman of the ship, kind of like the captain of the group. He lost his sword, but he's like, you know what, just fight with what you got, and he picks up a rock. But I mean, this is a battle. Like a rock like that's not gonna do much unless he frickin' dismounts a guy off a horse with one throw. Bro! Yo, just use rocks all the time if that's what they're gonna... Why do you have a sword? You can just whip him so hard that a guy flies off his horse. And then this other Viking shows why he doesn't need weapons because he stops a full-on charging horse with his body. It's pretty much exactly like that scene from the first Avengers where the Hulk punches that giant flying worm and stops him. Except this is a normal human being going against just a full speed charging horse. But hey, we get our boy Ken. He's the archer of the group, but he doesn't have any arrows on him. He just has a bow. Good thing the first archer that they see shoots an arrow right at his feet, so he can pick it up, bam, shoot the archer, run up, grab all his arrows, boom, we're in business. Honestly, the battle was pretty cool, I gotta say. There's some cheesy parts, but it's well done. Like, it's pretty high production value. And we actually get a death right off the bat. Johan, our man, the metal singer, I guess he probably just wasn't that good of an actor, and they were like, yeah, you've had your cameo, but they killed him off like right away. And his brother gets stabbed too, his brother doesn't really amount to much. It's like they carry him around trying to be all like noble, like, oh, we're not leaving you behind. But then like he just dies later. Like nothing really happens in the story with that. I think it's literally just to show like the main guy, Tommy, being noble of like, no, we're not leaving anyone behind. And then the douchey guy's like, yo, leave him behind. We can't carry him the whole way. And Tommy's like, no, man, we're taking him. No man left behind. So they take him, and yeah, he just dies later. So they kill the entire group of 20 to 35 guys. And there's a pretty sweet shot of Archer Ken against the back of a cliff. Whoa, I think he's going to get knocked off. But then we got our boy Tommy, chucks a sword, stabs him. Archer Ken then throws him off the cliff. It's freaking sick. Like, I'm going to clown on this movie a lot, but that was pretty cool. So they find out why there's a small army just randomly here. They're guarding a caravan, and in that caravan is the princess of the land. Though they don't know she's a princess yet, they're just like, oh, she looks like a high lady. I'm sure we can, like, get some good money by selling her back to her people. So they take her, and yeah, she's actually a princess. They also realize by her accent that they must be in Scotland, and they figure that it's like 2-3 days travel south to where they want to go, which is like a Viking encampment. That's kind of the whole point of the movie. They're trying to get to this Viking encampment, trying to get through the Scottish lands down to there. And then we get a cut to the villains of the movie. We have the Scottish King, and then two of the other actors that are on my bold prediction, Ed Skrein and Anatole Taubman. So these are kind of the bad guys. There's a Scottish king, and he finds out that his daughter, who's supposed to be betrothed to some weird guy, find out that they got kidnapped. So he sends out these two mercenaries, Ed and Anatole, and their band of guys that they call wolves. And they find out because one of the survivors from the army, there's only one guy who made it out. He rides in and is like, yo, these people captured the princess and no one else made it out alive. And then Ed's all like, well, then how did you make it out alive? He's like, well, I came back to tell you. He's like, you left the princess there alive and you didn't do it. And then he shoves his face into the fire because he's a flippin' edgelord. And yeah, we get to see Ed's. He's kind of a bad dude. So the king's all like, yo, take your wolf mercenaries, the wolves. You go get the princess brat back, like hopefully alive. Like if she's dead, like that sucks, but I'll still pay you because I'd rather just get her back one way or the other because I'm a king. I'm not gonna shill out money to like weird Vikings who come into my land. That'll show weakness. So the wolves head out, and then we cut back to our Viking buddies as they are traveling across beautiful, beautiful South African landscape. That is where this movie was filmed. And they show a bunch of shots that are really reminiscent of Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring. Our Viking boys, they get into a little scuffle with the douchey guy being like, yo, Tom, you suck, you're a bad leader, your dad was way better. And Tom's like, yeah, my dad died, I'm the leader now. And while they're fighting, the douchey guy pulls a knife on Tom, and the princess tries to run. She sees it as a little opportunity. Then she gets chased down by one of the minor characters in this film, which I don't know what his name was, so I'll probably just call him Stumbler whenever I talk back about him, because in this scene, it's so awkward. He chases her down and just trips or something, and you can see him grip his leg in pain. But they don't reference it at all after, which makes me think that the actor literally just like kind of hurt his leg running across this ground, and they just didn't want to reshoot it because I don't know, maybe it was hard to get that arrow to land like that. So they're like, screw it, let's just stick with that shot. So the Vikings, they keep on moving, and that's when they meet the sixth character on my bold prediction, Ryan, and he is a monk in this movie. That's pretty cool. And pretty much right after they meet him, they get ambushed by a bunch of weird, dirty wildling guys. And this is where Monk Man quickly shows that he is not your average monk. He goes from being the classic monastery-style monk to the flippin' Dungeons and Dragons style monk, okay? Flippin' knocking people out with his bow staff, stabbing guys with it. I guess it's got like a sharp point on it. It's pretty flippin' sick.
Not bad for a peace-loving monk.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So the monk gives them shelter in this weird, like, beaten down tower that I guess he just chills in. And there's a ton of weapons in there. And when they ask him where the weapons are from, he's like, oh, it's from other men like you who tried to confront me. And they're like, whoa, yo, this monk, he's pretty cool. Then there's a little scene with Ed and his wolves, and where he's talking to the Anatole guy, and he comes up with a little devious plan that they're not going to get the princess alive at all. If they get the princess alive, they're just going to kill her themselves, because it's really stupid. It's like, they're like, yo, the dude she's betrothed to, he doesn't like us very much. So when he becomes king, we're not going to get any money or work and stuff. So let's just kill her now so that he never becomes king. It's like, it's the plan, they really just squish it down and it doesn't make that much sense. They really just try and rush it as like one of those stereotypical things where it's like, oh, I'm a bad guy, let's just kill the princess. Because they know they're still going to get a reward from the king, and it plays kind of an important part later in a super lame way that this is their plan. And the big part is they tell their people, they tell the other wolves that the king wants her dead. That's really important to know for Brother Hounds later. So they know they want to kill the princess, but they tell all their mercenary wolves that the king wants the princess dead. Why would they believe that? I don't know. But Ed and the wolves, they stumble across that wildling, one of the wildlings that got beaten the crap out of by the monk before. And the guy's like, oh, they went with the monk and he's probably in this tower that he always goes in. So then the guys go and confront them at the tower. This is where Bjorn dies. So they're just kind of lugging him around up until here. But, yep, he's dead now. Bjorn being, you know, the brother of Johan who got stabbed at the beginning. Yeah, you know. So then we get the wolves freaking assaulting the tower. And they're all like, the Vikings are like, whoa, I guess we just got to bunker down in here. And the monk, he prepared for this. He has a fire, and it's like nighttime now. He stabs the fire into the ground, and it turns out he had put like flammable stuff all around the tower, so it makes this giant wall of flame completely around the outside. But then one of the wolves, this like one really beefy dude, just runs right through the fire, and he's got this like bola swing thing, and he flings it on top of the tower. It lands, sets the roof of the tower on fire, and it was pretty cool. It reminded me of like that orc in the second Lord of the Rings, where he's charging through with the flame and they're trying to shoot him down, but runs right in. But then it gets less cool, because this guy, this like Berserker guy, he got shot with an arrow, I'm pretty sure, but he like runs up to the door. He looks like he's just gonna go and start smashing things, and then they're like, yo, let him in. So they let him in, and the guy literally just like stumbles in and just like kind of kneels down there. Like he doesn't even try and put up a fight in any way when it looked like he was just this beefy berserker. So he's just kind of like chilling there, and they're not even restraining him or anything. He's just not putting up any fight. And then they just start pressing him for information, and he just gives it to them. Like Tommy literally just asks, who are you? And then he's like, we came for her. Like, why would you say that? And then without any further inquiry, he says, her father wants us to kill her. It's like, they're not even prying him for information. He just wants to give it to them. It's so stupid. And see, this is why it's important that the mercenary leader, Ed, told them all that the king wanted the princess dead. It's important that this guy can just tell the good guys that for no reason. But anyways, the tower keeps burning down. They grab a bunch of weapons off the walls that the monk had, and then the monk reveals, whoop, I got a little secret tunnel down here. Let's go. And they go down the tunnel into these giant, awesome looking caves. So in the cave, the monk, he shows them, he draws out a little map for them of where they need to go. Pretty much they got to cross some plains, then they got to cross some moor, and then there's the Dane lands where they're trying to get to. But unfortunately, right after the moor and before the Dane lands, there's like this kind of barricade that the king has set up. Like that's kind of where his kingdom, I guess, is. So they're saying, let's go through the moor, hop on the coast, because the coast is right by there too. And then we'll sail right around to the Dane lands, and then we'll be Gucci. So they leave the caves and start treading across the plains. But unfortunately, the wolf guys, they have this bird that tracks people, so they catch on to them real quick. And as they're following, Anatole has this really interesting foresight.
What if it's an ambush?
And it was a flippin' ambush. The Viking bros, they set up, they sharpen a bunch of logs, they put up this. Here, I'll just show you what happens. Okay, maybe ambush wasn't the right word, but it was a trap. You see there's like the big rocks, and there's like, whoa, sharpened stakes right behind it, so the horses all had trouble. But see, here's the thing. I thought it was set up like that because maybe it completely blocked some path for the horses, but it didn't. Like the horses were able to walk right through, Which means that all it did was like it took out a couple of the wolves, but the whole point that the Vikings wanted to do this was to like slow down the guys. Because the other guys have horses, it's like, oh, they're going to catch up to us. Let's set up something to slow them down. It didn't slow them down at all. They were stopped for like 3 minutes tops while their couple guys died. And you know how long it would have taken to flipping sharpen those sticks? There were giant logs completely sharpened. You took all that time, sharpened those, set them up, made sure there was like the rock in the way, all that was there. It did nothing for you. Bad plan, my Viking dudes. So the Vikings reach this weird spot in the forest where there's like this one kind of rocky, climby path that leads up above like a waterfall area. And I guess it's like the only way out of the forest. So they start climbing, but then the flipping bird comes out of nowhere, starts grabbing at the princess and just completely pulls the princess down. It's pretty great. So the princess falls down and Tommy goes down after her. When Tommy Boy gets down to her, she's all like, oh, you came back for me. And it's like, whoa, they're kind of looking at each other. But there's no time to fall in love because the wolves are here, yo. Ed and Anatole are there, and Ed's all like, yo, princess, you got to come back for us. Your father really wants to see you. And he's trying to act like, I'm not going to kill you if you come. But she knows better because of that one flippin' dude who came into the tower and told them everything. But why would Ed assume that one of his men just decided to, fall in a tower and reveal his entire plan? So Ed's trying to be all like, no, we're not going to kill you. Come on. But before the wolves can get her, bam, 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 the Vikings up top. They didn't leave. They didn't leave their boy behind. What are you thinking? They start chucking rocks down from the high ground. Archer Ken, pew, pew, he's shooting arrows, and it leads to this really cool looking shot in my opinion. Look, I know it was kind of lame, but I just really like that. I don't know why. Also, can we talk about how these rocks are hitting the ground and then just completely poofing up into dust because they're not real rocks. It's all just bad effects. But anyways, Tommy and the princess, they go up the path, they escape, and then Tommy's all like, yo, we gotta hold them here. Like, we can't just keep running from them. This is the spot where we hold them. So he's like, Archer Ken, you watch this little path because there's only one path up here. Just watch, make sure they don't come up, and we're gonna prepare some tricks. So while they start preparing some like classic action movie traps, they cannot hide how fake this big rock is. Like, look at how that rock jiggled. They gave one heave and it was like, heavy things don't do that. Like, I can't fault you for using props, but like, you gotta redo that shot. Anyways, night falls and you know something's gonna go down because the guy who's taking the watch shift is the guy that they've shown maybe like 3 times throughout the movie. I don't even know if he's talked at all. And he took the shift from Stumbly Man. So even Stumbly Man was too important to be put into this crappy slot here. Because while Tommy and the princess are kind of sharing some more sexual tension back and forth, the flippin' guard guy that I don't know the name of fell asleep. People snuck up on him. He kind of wakes up and then someone sneaks up behind him and then kills him. I gotta say though, this shot is pretty cool. Cause like, he whips over and looks and like, you think you're like, are those helmets there? No, that looks like just grass and stuff. And then flips back, it blurs the background. They get up. Whoa! It was them. It was them the whole time. Well done. Well done, Northmen. I like that. Anyways, the rest of the boys and princess are all asleep, but the princess wakes up to like a vision of a wolf passing by because she's kind of like had some weird visions throughout the movie. They haven't really done much with it, but like they made a joke about like, whoa, are you some sort of seer or something? So she's got like some weird little powers, I guess. But they all get up and Stumbly Boy is freaking out because he's like, oh no, my friend that's on the night watch shift, they're probably killed him. And he tries running, but then Archer Ken is like, no dude, stay here, come on, we gotta go. And then while they're doing that, wolf guy starts sneaking up behind him. He's gonna get him when out of nowhere, princess has a crossbow, takes the most dangerous shot of all time and kills him. Look, I get that that's like a cool action movie shot, but come on, even the most experienced marksman wouldn't shoot that close to your buddies' heads. It's just irresponsible. But anyways, a big chase starts happening and all the traps start going off. One guy gets like wooden spikes to his face. One guy, a big giant log comes down and like crushes him. And the rock trap. So it shows the rock trap go. And all it was a counterweight to like a noose that wrapped around a guy's legs and pulls him up. And as he's getting pulled up, the camera just cuts away from him. So I'm kind of wondering if like maybe something really gross happened to him, but then they were like, oh, we're trying to get that PG-13 rating. Let's cut this part out and hopefully we get it, which they didn't end up getting. They still had an R rating because like it just doesn't show anything after that. He just kind of gets pulled up, quick cut. So if they use that whole giant fake rock just to pulley a guy up and hang him by his legs, then that's pretty stupid. But anyways, the wolves chase him to an edge of a cliff, and that's where Eddie comes out and reminds him of the movie that they're in. A Viking saga. So Tommy decides to hold the line with this kind of older Viking that I haven't really talked about yet. He's the guy who stopped the horse at the beginning, Gunnar, and then Stumbly Boy. They kind of try and hold the line, and then the rest of them, which I think there's 4 of them at this point. There's the monk, there's the princess, there's Archer Ken, and there's the douchey guy. So they all run because they find a little rickety bridge a bit farther on. So those 4 run, and then these 3 are holding the line. So the 4 people that go to the bridge, they're all like, whoa, that bridge, it looks kind of scary. And you can't frickin' blame them. Look at that bridge. There's no railings on it. That'd be the most rickety bridge there ever was. But the princess is all like, I got this. And she just starts like sprinting across. It's like, come on, like at least walk. That's a scary bridge. And the other guys are like kind of embarrassed because they're like, she's braver than us. Meanwhile, Tommy and Ed just start getting into a showdown, which is the first of multiple spoilers. And the other 2 just start fighting other guys that are there. But they're not doing a very good job of holding the line because a bunch of the wolf mercenaries just like run right by them to the people on the bridge. So Monkman flipping steps up once again, starts battling off these guys at the end of the bridge while his buddies are running across. And it leads to this really dope moment where like Monkman and one of the wolves, they're on the bridge and they're in a sick battle, and then whew, Monkman hits him off, and the guy, as he's falling, he does like his best impersonation of the Terran Academy in StarCraft. 10 out of 10. Meanwhile, Ed is about to finish off Tommy because he was just getting the better of him like the entire fight. But then Stumbly Guy like steps in and like blocks the sword in that epic way. Tommy kind of falls off to the side. And then just like in every movie where a minor character steps in the way, he just dies instantly after. He blocked it. He was like, that was my hero moment. And then bad guy just takes him out immediately after. So Tommy and Gunnar, they're like, okay, we gotta get out of here. And Gunnar's ahead of him. He just runs and grabs two of the wolves and just tackles them right off of the bridge. And he's flipping and fighting him as he's going down too. And Tommy, he's kind of running behind, and he's the only one on the bad side of the bridge now. So he's like, I gotta get to my buds. He starts running, and then Anatole's all like, yo, I'm still in this movie too. I want to do something. Shoots. Hits Tommy right in the back. Doesn't stop him though. He keeps running. It looks really painful. Gets to the other side of the bridge. They cut the bridge, cut it down. So now there's this giant chasm between them and the wolves. So it looks like they finally gotten away because there's this giant chasm and there's definitely no way across.
There's a path.
Okay, or maybe there is. But now they've entered the Moorland, which is like the second stage that the monk talked about back in the caves. And they use another Lord of the Rings-esque shot here, which I swear is like the exact same scenery that they showed earlier. Also, it just looks so strange that they're traveling left now. I know that's such like a weird thing, but they've been traveling like to the right of the screen the entire movie, and now all of a sudden they're just moving left. It was just really jarring. I don't know why. Have you ever seen an adventure movie where they're moving to the left? No. You don't travel left in movies. Also, I don't know if this is true, but I think it'd be really funny if they were just showing the exact same scenery just going back. So it's like they spend all their time filming walking to the one side, but like all their like tents and stuff back there. So they're like, whoa, let's get those next shots of just us going back. It'd be pretty convenient. That's very efficient directing, if that's the case. So the Vikings are running, and the wolves are now on their side of the chasm because
there's a path.
Yeah. And the wolves, they stumble across this like abandoned farmhouse or something where there's just a bunch of horses for grabs. So they hop on the horses and whoa, and now they're going to catch up to our Viking pals, no problem. And the Vikings know they're coming too because the princess, she's all like, ooh, I'm doing my seer thing. She feels the ground. She's like, hoofbeats. They're on horses. They're going to catch us. So the Vikings are like, crap, let's run. So they run a bit further and they find this little stone thing. And they're kind of like, well, we're probably just going to have to fight him here. And then flippin' Anatole just pops up out of the grass really close by. How did you get... Look how open this field is. Which, by the way, when they started going into this like fielded area, it was like super dark and like foggy. That's the word. Foggy. There's like fog everywhere. Now look at it. Just clear day. They just didn't really feel like putting the effects on here. How did he get there? Look at that open plain right there. He must have been real quick to frickin' army crawl that whole way to catch up with them. Or maybe they just aren't keeping an eye out across the open plain that is around them. But yeah, he holds up the head of Stumbly Guy, which pretty sour move, dude. And Archer Ken is pissed, dude. Let me tell you, Archer Ken, he's got a sword now, and he's just kind of blinded by rage at this point. And Anatole, he does one of those classic, like, chuck the head at him shots, but the head comes up real short. Like, because that's supposed to reach them. It just looks so pathetic. Maybe for once they were like, you know what? Let's make this actually really realistic. Like heads, they're heavy. Like how far are you actually going to be able to throw it? But that shot just looks so dumb. And then when they're all focused on Anatole in front of them, they're yelling, they're pissed. They want to like charge at him. Out of nowhere, from behind them now, Eddie and a couple wolves sneak up. Once again, open plains all around them, and they're now behind them. These people just weren't looking around. There's no way you could have snuck up that well. But only the princess sees Eddie, so she takes aim with her crossbow, misses someone directly in front of her, hits Eddie's body right beside him. And this is after being a flippin' sniper shot earlier, shooting between her friend's faces. She can't even hit a target right in front of her. But Eddie kind of like knocks her out, and then Tommy jumps on him, and they just start going at it again. And once again, Eddie is just doing way better than Tommy. Tommy pretty much just loses fights in this movie. But right as Eddie's kind of getting the upper hand, like, oh, he's pushing down on Tommy, out of flipping nowhere, Gunner, who fell off the cliff, jumps at him, tackles him. What the heck? This guy fell off like a freaking 100-foot cliff on a straight rock. And like, okay, so he survives maybe. Let's go down this rabbit hole. He chased them down. He caught up to them. He snuck up on them as well. Nobody is looking at their surroundings here. And he is flipping battle ready. But anyways, Archer turned swordsman Ken. He's dueling it out with Anatole. He knocks him down on the ground. And like Anatole kind of looks like he's unconscious. And he's like ready to go for the strike. But then the douchey guy who's like kind of redeemed himself throughout the movie. Like he's kind of cool now. He's still there. He's still one of the characters there. He's fighting someone and someone's sneaking up behind him. Swordsman Ken flips around and looks at him. And this is where Swordsman Ken remembers that he's a ranged hero. And he flipping whips his sword and saves the douchey guy. But unfortunately, the little rat Anatole, he was lying on the ground. He creaks open his eyes and he sees that Swordsman Ken just chucked away his sword. And he takes this opportunity to flip and kill my favorite dude, Ken. But on the bright side, at least my bold prediction's actually coming along now. I was getting pretty flippin' worried because Johan was the only one who had died. And then the douchey guy, in his rage, he runs over and he kills Anatole. So it's like, boom. Now we're at 3 out of 5, I think. And I said 4. I figured at least 4 would die. Then we cut back to Tommy and Eddie, they've like hit each other's weapons out of their hands. Eddie like shattered Tommy's sword all over the place. They're just flipping punching and wrestling now. Like they're just going at it. And what happens is as they're wrestling, they happen to roll into something that's clearly just put in there to prove that they're actually in a moor. It's just like this gross little muddy hole. Because I think the director was like, people probably noticed that it looks a bit too much like the plains from before. Let's just toss in a little muddy hole. That's pretty Moor-like. They keep slugging away at each other with mud covering them. But then Tommy, he reaches back and he finds a shard of his sword. And he comes around and he stabs Eddie. As Eddie's going down, he sends out a pretty chill invite for Tommy to come hang with him at the mudbath.
You're coming with me.
And Tommy's tempted, but he declines to go chill with the princess instead. And then bam! Eddie jump scare comes back up out of the mud, only to take a flippin' bow staff to the chest because Monkman was still over there. He was beating people up. It didn't really look like he was in any trouble at any point. Like he can handle it. He looked really tired afterwards, but then he chucks his bow staff and kills Eddie. Unfortunately, though, his bow staff just sunk into the extraordinarily deep mud puddle. Like, I'm sure he could have reached in and grabbed it out, but it's just kind of sunk in there. Anyways, there's a little sad send-off with Archer Ken, but then they just keep on moving. They reach the water, and it's like this giant cliff, and there's these caves down at the bottom of the cliff, and that's where the boats are, I guess. But the monk is all like, we're too late. The water's kind of washing up into those caves. Like, the tide is too high, I guess. Dang it. Which, like, tides, like, they go down pretty quickly. Like, honestly, like, every day the tide is, like, up and down. So I feel like, worst case scenario, they could just be like, okay, well, let's camp here for the day. But before they can even worry about that, a giant army just comes up onto the hill facing them. And at first I was like, oh, yo, it's probably like making you think that it's bad guys, but it's actually going to be Vikings. So it's like, yeah, we saved the day. Because there's only a couple minutes left in this movie. But it's not. It's the king himself with an entire army. So still bad guys. They start coming down at the Vikings, and Gunnar, the beefy guy who fell off a freaking cliff, she's like, well, I'm not going down any more cliffs today. I'm fighting here. But then Tommy just turns around, leaps off the cliff without a second thought, which, like, it shows those waves crashing up into that flippin' rock face. You're dead, man. You're not surviving that. And the rest are, like, thinking about following him, but Gunnar's like, no way, like, this is my chance. Enter Valhalla, I will die fighting and stuff. Which, like, that's what Vikings did. Like, if Tommy just died jumping off that cliff, which, spoilers, he doesn't, he wouldn't have gone to flippin' Valhalla. What kind of Viking is this guy? But he's lucky, because he survived, and literally 30 seconds or less after he jumped off the cliff, he storms out of the cave, already on the boat, rowing it. It's like he had literally just jumped off, and then busts out of the cave on the little canoe thing, and the princess quickly jumps off the cliff after him, and then the last two guys, the originally douchey guy and then the monk, they're all like, oh, we want to go, but Gunnar doesn't want to. So then they do this little kind of like funny thing where they grab him by the arms, and then they just leap off the cliff. But the way they grabbed him, Gunnar, like, he's ready to fight. They grab him by the arms, they pull him off. He would have done like a straight backflop. And that's a flippin' high cliff. So screw you guys. You guys probably caused him a lot of pain when he just wanted to die and go to Valhalla. But they all get in the boat, and like, it's a flippin' canoe with like giant waves. But then the biggest surprise in the entire movie happens. It ends. The movie just ends right there. It's literally just them sailing away, and then it zooms in on the king's face, and the king's all like, oh, dang it, my daughter got away. Even though he didn't want to kill his daughter. Like, if the daughter went with him, she would have been safe. Also, what the heck? The king, they were like shooting arrows and stuff. Maybe he did want to kill his daughter. I don't know. But that's it. They didn't show them going to the settlement. The entire movie, they were trying to reach the settlement. And sure, like, the coast, like, with the boats, that was kind of supposed to be like the point where it was like, we're safe now because we can sail to the settlements. But it's just such an odd time to end. I kind of wonder if, once again, it's just like they had more, but then they just cut it due to time or something. Because, yeah, it seemed like such an oddly quick ending with them just hopping in the boats, sailing off into the sunset, when really they were just sailing around a tiny bit to get to the Viking settlements. But guys, guess who's playing the flippin' credit music? You better believe it's Johan's band. He had his cameo, now he gets his song in there too. But yeah, what a journey this was. Northmen, a Viking saga. So my bold prediction ended up being right, and I feel really weird about it, because it seems like I made it as a completely out of the blue prediction, and it ended up being perfectly right. And I wish it wasn't, because now it looks really fake. Now everyone's just going to be like, oh, you probably just watched the movie and did it. But I didn't. It was just like, I figure most people are going to die, and the main character usually doesn't die. I was like, I'll give it 4 out of 5 just in case. And as soon as the monk character was introduced, as I was watching it, I was like, I really don't think they're going to kill off the monk. But I was thinking that they might kill off the main character. It was kind of seeming like they might give him a really epic send-off. I was kind of thinking that maybe they'd kill off the main character and then keep the Archer Ken guy. But no, it ended up working. I guess it wasn't that bold of a prediction. It was just a small prediction. But we're 1 for 1 at least. So final thoughts, would I recommend Northmen, a Viking saga? Honestly, I think I would. It was pretty high production value. Like, obviously there were some kind of lame parts. I think some of it was just like due to the director being like, yeah, this is a normal thing that can happen. And like some of the things looked a bit lame, like a bit of the effects. But it was, altogether, it was pretty cool. And like the places that they filmed in, I guess it was mostly done in South Africa, a little bit in Germany, they said. It was beautiful. It looked really nice. And yeah, it's just like a solid action flick. It's definitely nothing spectacular. I feel kind of bad for it being the first movie that I do on Bad Movie Roundup. But you know what? I defined what a bad movie was at the beginning. So I got this movie for $5 at Walmart. What can I say? But all in all, it was pretty cool. And I think there's definitely going to be a lot cheesier of movies coming in the future. And that's it. That is it for Northmen. We are done. And guys, next time we got a pretty cool movie on the rope. So I don't want to keep you hanging. The next time we do this, we are doing 47 Ronin. It is a 2013 box office bomb that features Keanu Reeves. And I haven't seen it, and I'm really excited to make a video on it. That will be next time. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching this. I had so much fun making this. Like, I don't know, it's like a long process kind of going through the movie and like making a review of it, but it's really fun. So if you guys enjoyed this, if you would want to see more of these, just let me know, and I'm happy to make more. But I guess I will call it with that. This video, I don't know how long it's going to be after I edit it, but it's probably going to be way too long. I'll try and make future ones shorter, most likely. But yeah, I'll see you later.